Hello everybody, this is Stephen Whitfield with Drilling Contractor, and do we have a treat for you today? I am here in Crosby, Texas on the floor of Rig X33, an offering in Nabors' Pace X Ultra line of land rigs. This rig is about to be deployed out for operator Caturus, and it's got some of the latest high-spec developments and new equipment and all kinds of really cool stuff that have been installed on it. So we're going to be speaking here today with Josh Price, VP of Operations at Nabors, Ashish Gupta, VP of Engineering at Nabors, and Eric Kolstad, EVP of Drilling at Caturus, to talk more about the development of this rig, what's on it, and the collaboration between operator and driller in getting a rig like this off the ground. Check it out. So we're here with Ashish Gupta, VP of Engineering at Nabors, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about what's been done on this Pace X Ultra X33 rig. So Ashish, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk hardware, let's talk upgrades, let's talk what's been done. What is new on this rig? What are some of the upgrades you've made?
So I guess just a little background. So these are a Pace X platform of our rig. So I guess when we designed the Pace X back 10, 15 years ago, we designed it in the idea that in future upgrades, as the drilling gets longer and longer, we could use the same platform and keep adding upgrades to it. So on this platform right now, what you're seeing, starting from the ground. So we upgraded the drill floor to take and the substructure for 1 million pound setback. So the walkers are existing. The walkers were designed originally to carry 1 million pound of setback. We can rack and walk between wells with 1 million pound setback. When you come to the rig floor, we have a high torque top drive. We can rack 35,000 feet of 5 and 7/8 drill pipe. We got a high torque top drive, which can push up to 65,000 foot-pounds of drilling torque. We also have a TM120, which can handle the 5 and 7/8 connection that the operator planning to use. When you go down into the backyard, just the amount of horsepower that is required for the wells that we are seeing in the field. Like Eric mentioned and Josh mentioned earlier, we are going longer and longer lateral, pushing the equipment to the limit. So we have upgraded our mud system to 2,000 horsepower pumps at 10,000 PSI. With all the piping, hosing, everything has been upgraded to make sure we have high flow rate, less losses. Just to support the horsepower required to run all this equipment, the engines had to be upgraded from a 4 megawatt standard package, which is big for the US, to a 6 megawatt. And the engines are also upgraded with the DGB2 kits, which allows the operator to use field gas and a substitution of up to 70%.
So obviously, we're not going to just do one rig and then that's it. We're never going to see anything else again. So what are your plans in terms of scaling all the stuff that you see on here?
So the way we designed this upgrade, it's something that we can do in the field. So we have a modular idea behind it where we have a leapfrog set of mast and sub, which can be upgraded in the yard and we can swap it out in the field during a rig move. Same thing with the mud pumps and the engines, we can have them ready and do it on a rig move with the high pressure piping as well. The whole idea here is it's just a little bit longer rig move and we take care of the upgrades during the rig move rather than spending the money to bring the rig to the yard and have a long shutdown.
So I'm going to go back to something you said in your first answer where you're talking about this being kind of a process. And that makes me think of whether or not this is a continuous process. I would think it would be. So do you see future upgrades being needed that might possibly bring this rig back to the yard?
No, I think the way our philosophy would be keep the asset in the field, and any future upgrades that we do, we'll try to accomplish it in the field during a rig move.
The last question I would have here, we've talked about what's on this rig. We've talked about sort of the process of getting this rig up off the ground. So what kind of efficiencies are we seeing out of this rig that we weren't seeing before?
I guess what we have been seeing over the years that the operators have been pushing the equipment to the limit more and more. The current rigs that we got operating are running to the limit at the edge of the limit. So what efficiency this will bring? This will allow the operators to push longer, push harder, drill faster. I guess, for example, back in 2014, 2015, a 1 mile lateral would be plenty. Now, the same equipment has been using to push to 4 mile laterals. I think this machine, with the additional horsepower racking capacity, will help the operators to achieve longer laterals, faster laterals, and a better hole as well.
It's amazing to see how much longer these laterals have been getting nowadays.
Yes.
So we are here with Josh Price, VP of Operations at Nabors, and we're gonna have a nice little chat here. So, Josh, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, David.
We're here on this rig floor and we see all this equipment, and the first question that I've got to ask is, when did the discussions for developing all this start? Was it a case of the operator coming to you guys and saying, hey, we have a need and we got to fix this, or is this something that you guys already kind of had in the hopper?
So we started having these discussions probably 2 years ago internally at Nabors. You know, we saw the wells were getting longer, laterals are going 4+ miles, you're doing the U-turn and S wells, the wells are getting a lot more complex. So we started talking about it a while back, and we got a lot of feedback from our customers at the time about what they thought a rig would need now and in the future, and X33, which you're on, is a result of that.
So, you know, obviously these things aren't done in a vacuum. You have an operator client. It's not like you guys are just making the rig and going out and saying, here it is. So tell me about the collaboration between Nabors and Caturus on this rig. What was the nature of that collaboration? How important is it to have that with the operator client when you're doing stuff like this?
It's incredibly important. And we started talking about this with Caturus back in the beginning of this year. The partnership with Caturus has been fantastic. All the way from the rig crews all the way up to executive management. There's complete alignment on what the objectives are, and really the objective is to reduce cycle time and drill better wells and do it safely.
So you mentioned drilling better wells. One of the things that you guys have been saying, we've been out here, is that this is the type of rig that is designed to really tackle the modern day unconventional well.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask, what does that mean? What does this rig allow you to do that you couldn't do previously?
So there's a few things, a few key things, but one thing I would like to say is that the X rig, the Pace X rig, is a very adaptable rig. It can be upgraded in a lot of different ways at a pretty low capital cost. But for this rig, X33, number one, because of the longer laterals, the more difficult wells, we're able to rack back 35,000 feet of 5 7/8 drill pipe, which is significantly more than a standard rig. We also have the 2,000 horsepower mud pumps and a 10,000 PSI mud circulating system. And that allows you to get more gallons per minute, more flow, more pressure. And then we have the high torque top drive that lets you get more torque. So these are longer wells, they require more torque, more flow, and then we have 6 engines on this rig because it requires more power to get those capabilities.
A lot of engines.
It's a lot of engines. It's a lot of engines, but you need it with all the power we're running on this rig.
Okay, so we are now here with Eric Kolstad, Executive Vice President of Drilling at Caturus, the operator that's going to be taking this rig out and sort of seeing what it does. So we're going to talk to him about the operator's perspective of the development of this rig. So Eric, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We talked to Josh Price about collaboration, ask it from the driller's perspective. We'll ask it from the operator's perspective. How is the process collaborating with Nabors on this project? How important is that collaboration when it comes to getting something like this up and running off the ground?
The collaboration with Nabors to date has been outstanding. From the very start, from the very first conversations that we had with Nabors, we spec'd out what we thought would get us what we needed for today's operations, but also for the operations that we anticipate to drill in the future. So what it comes down to, it's not just the equipment, it's a platform for safety, for innovation, and for efficiency.
So what are the plans for, we're here in Crosby, Texas right now with this rig, but obviously you're not going to drill this here. So what are the plans for this rig? Where are you taking it?
So this rig, X33, we're going to take down to our South Texas operations, which is drilling high temperature, high pressure wells in the Eagle and Austin Chalk formations. So specifically, this rig will drill some of the most challenging wells in our portfolio. And what I mean by that, 14,000 feet vertical depth, up to 4-mile laterals. So this rig not only will give us a step change in drilling performance in that area, but it also allows us to partner with drilling tool providers to bring tools to the market that don't currently exist.
Okay, so obviously, it's not like this is being sent out with no testing or whatsoever. So you obviously have an idea of what this rig can do. But when this actually gets out into the field, what are some of the key performance indicators that you guys are going to be looking at to see, okay, let's make sure that this thing is doing what we want it to do?
Sure, very similar key performance indicators that we look at on every rig, on every operation. We're just looking for better, right? So better efficiency, better cycle time, better ROP, better trip times, everything's better because it's bigger. The next thing we're looking at is improved safety. We've got rig floor automation that helps the rig crew not touch the pipe, so it's a safer operation by design. And third, we've got the engines in use have dynamic gas blending, so we're using gas in our fuel to displace diesel. So from an ESG perspective, it's better for the environment.
Well, Eric, it's always cool to hear the operator's perspective on these things. We talk to the drillers a lot, but it's cool to hear what you guys are looking at with this rig. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you again for the opportunity.
So we'd like to thank Josh, Eric, and Ashish for speaking with us here today. From Rig X33, this is Stephen Whitfield. Thank you for visiting Drilling Contractor.